Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Kicked off today. Somebody came and needed the downpipe and cat off of Red Baron. Red Baron is getting a different exhaust, so didn't have no use for it, and getting ready to head over and try to finish this cylinder head up with Paul. Trying to fix the trap. Had to take the dipstick out to do something else. Now it's near impossible to get the dipstick in. So I got my long 8mm socket on the 8mm screws that screws into the dipstick. I'm screwing it in by hand, little bites. Once I get it so far in, I could probably get the ratchet on there to finish it up. But it's going to be hard to ratchet it, and my Milwaukee is dead. So I gotta fight it. 20-minute bolt. I have the intake manifold bolts tight. All of them have a washer on them, and I secured that fuel line there. Now I'm going to put the fuel rail in place, and then I'm going to put these in the bottom of this intake plenum, and then I'm going to put this intake plenum in place. So let me lower this fuel rail over here and get this secure. Find the tiny screw that goes into that. Still not clear on how to get this bracket back where it belongs. I couldn't film that, but I'm gonna put this coolant line on there with this clamp. This clamp is a 8-to-16. Then I'm gonna put the coolant line on there with one of these clamps, and then I'm gonna put the coolant line on back there, or that EGR line on with the next bigger clamp, which is 9.5-to-22. So let me push these coolant lines on, secure them, and then secure my fuel rail. I had to massage the fuel line in the fuel rail. I put my hand under it and used a screwdriver while I was wiggling the line before I had the fuel rail tightened down, and it pushed in until it went, I believe, all the way in. Now I got to put this clip on it. Slide this down over there till it locks in place, then tighten that T15. That should be good to go. I put the cam sensors in. I put those in with a T30. Not sure if they came out with the T30. I put the rear cam sensors in. They had the 8mm in them. I had to actually tap these down with a hammer, which is disturbing. The paint on the cylinder head makes those holes a little tighter, so couldn't get them in by pushing them in by hand. Now I got the coil screws, about to screw the coils down. Then I'm gonna have to scrape the paint off of the head to get the grounds for the coil wires, because with these paint on here, they're not going to ground right. I don't think. Well, maybe the ground will ground down through the thread, the threads of the screws. Let's try that. These small screws go in the ground on the coil pack wire harness. 2 screws like this hold this wiring harness against the side of the head. Next, I'm going to take the grounds off this wire harness, unplug this wire harness from these 2 sensors, unplug the wire harness from this sensor and this sensor, unplug the wire harness from all the coils, lift this wire harness off the way, but there's an 8mm screw there and an 8mm screw here that you also have to remove. So you can lift this wire harness up and out of the way. Now I got this plug here that plugs into something down over there. I'll get that plugged in and show you what it went to. This bracket here has a big bolt right there. I think it's a 14, but I don't see a top hole for it. I think this head may be missing a hole for the other bolt that goes in that bracket. This bolt here. We'll talk about this later. This may have been to a different engine, this head style, but I got that bolt right there started, and I'm going to tighten it in with a 14. This hose that comes out of the plenum runs behind that PCV hose, so I had to pull that back off and route that under there. Then it runs over here. It clips in this intake manifold there and runs on over there. I got that stuff hooked up in there. I got that clip on there. I put that big 14 in there. I think we're ready to drop in the air box system. Then hook up the computer over here and also hook up this little vacuum octopus thing here. Then we can drop the timing belt on, roll this engine over by hand, fire this puppy up. Well, let me reach over the engine and find out where that wire harness goes. Through the wheel area, above the axle, is where that plug comes out of. Back down here, or the turbo control valve. Let's say that's the turbo control valve. Gotta unplug that. The end of the wiring harness on top of the engine, that's part of the coil packs and cam sensors, comes down here and plugs into the turbo control valve on the passenger side over the axle. So you got to unplug that and plug that back in when you put everything back together. Use one of these larger clamps, the 9.5 to 22 mil, to put on that vacuum tube, whatever that is, coming off the exhaust there. Then this tube here is already connected. I ran this wire back down under there where it plugs into the turbo deal. I'm gonna leave this off. Now I'm gonna put the timing belt and stuff on. Looks like my timing mark here moved 1, 2, 2.5 teeth. My timing mark there moved 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth. But being that the crank is on, I should be able to turn these by hand with no problem getting these back on the marks. If I need to put a ratchet on there, I'll just put a, if I need help, I'll put, what do you call this thing? A T60 or T55 in there and turn this cam in the right position so that I can get the timing belt on and put the tension on, stuff like that. I put the inner cover bolt in, that 10 millimeter right there. That bolt had a sleeve on it. I used this box and wrench to get that on. Next, I'm going to remove that bolt right there. That bolt goes through the inner cover and goes into the cylinder head. We put this air box chamber in, and the best way to do that is to jack up the front of the oil pan. Chinese jigsaw puzzle falls right in place. So let me go ahead and pin that in the holes, put the filter in there, put the turbocharged pipe in there, connect the electrical wires. There's a screw that holds a wire bundle or something on the front of there too. Let me get all that stuff in. I rolled the engine around a couple times, all the timing marks still lined up, had a little compression, jacked the engine up, put this front mount on. I did set the tension on the tensioner for this cold weather. I grabbed the mount, jerked the engine to the front. Now I could put this cross mount up here, and we got a brand new mount here. If you got 100,000 miles on this car, you probably need a new front mount, so be prepared for that. Let me put this crossbar on here. Then I'm going to put this coolant bottle in place, put some coolant in here. Then we're going to put the turbo tube over, put that network vacuum system over. Then we're going to fire this up. And after that, we'll put the heat shield and rest of the timing covers and stuff on. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.